If you're just joining us, we're still at Chesapeake Lightcraft in Annapolis, turning this pile of sticks into this sailing machine. In this video, all the components come together on this foldable double outrigger sailing paddling canoe. When we build the amas and finish the akas and mount them, install the bulkheads, the deck hatch, the deck openings, the daggerboard trunk, the rudder and its components, and we even saw the boat in pieces. Alright, we're about to put together the amas. So basically, they cut out a stringer, kind of the middle of the ama running vertically and long ways on the CNC machine, and Cody glued it together with their puzzle joints here. So we have a nice long 12-foot stringer, and then they cut out some foam on the CNC machine.
Yes, so these are all lifts, and basically our CNC machine cut them out, and then we chopped them out to, you can sort of see what the layer, where the level is supposed to be. They're all steps so that we can fair it, and it'll create the whole shape that you want.
So it's basically the rough shape, and we'll glue them all together, and then we'll shape them from there. And we were going to try to recycle our friend John at Flying Fish Paddleboards, their scrap foam that they use, but I didn't bring enough, so. Alright, so we got the two halves done. We're gonna glue them together. There it is, one completed ama. And or it's not completed yet. From here we'll just hand shape it to all these contours. John has the most experience and the best eye for this kind of thing, so he took on shaping the amas. Thank goodness, because this is just the beginning of many hours of this whole process. So this is one of the cool things about Chesapeake Lightcraft in general. Dylan just came out and he dropped off this stuff. All these pieces, and it's just all the pieces that Cody and Jay and John have been working on the computer, and they're just like the bulkheads and the little probably deck frames maybe, and like the Hobie drive well components, and it's just all the pieces, and they send it over to the CNC machine and they cut it out, and like he sent it last night and they cut it out this morning, and now we have it right here and ready to install basically, or glass for us. I don't know what the order is. Anyway, this is how they make their kits. They design it in a way where they know it's going to be a kit, and then they break it into all the different components, and then they cut it out on the CNC machine and ship it off to customers. All you gotta do is put it together. A little assembly required, right? Alright, we're gluing up our bulkheads, putting doublers on them. What does that mean? It's just like this ring frame that doubles up the thickness. We're gluing them together.
Before you, there was no sun.
Favorite fairing compound? Blue and yellow, and we'll see green in a minute.
This is the first time we've used the whole tub at once.
I know, never used them. So we're coating the amas. They're shaped as best that we can get them at this point. But we gotta fill a bunch of voids and then just give us a better surface to be able to shape from. Here goes nothing. By this point in the build, we were well along our way, and we had a lot of different components in the works for the boat. This was actually a pretty good thing, because if we hit a bottleneck somewhere, or we were waiting for something to cure, we could just move on to a different component that needed to be assembled or coated with epoxy or something else. This is the mast step that I'm assembling right now. This is the mast step that we're working on here. Laying up a bunch of carbon on it, making it super strong, super stiff, inside and out. And we're just doing a hand lay. We're not using vacuum or anything, although that would be ideal. Here, the backsides of the bulkheads are getting their first coat of epoxy. If you haven't noticed already, the bow and stern of this boat will be able to be taken apart. That's the reason why you might see a layer of cardboard between these two bulkheads. But I'll explain that a little more later. Right now we're just bonding in the bolts that'll stay permanent in one of the bulkheads, and we'll have these removable star knobs on the other side. So we're about to put in all the bulkheads of the boat. I actually did, even though we have a nice textured surface from the peel ply, I actually did go through and rough up the area, sanded a little bit, and cleaned it really good with alcohol. And now we're gonna just spray some thickened epoxy and do some big fillets around the edges of these bulkheads. And then we'll do a little piece of fiberglass tape on there as well. What we're making right now are called fillets, which is just thickened epoxy that gets pushed into the corner where a bulkhead meets the hull. And this just makes a super strong joint between the hull and the bulkheads, and even stronger when you add a layer of glass tape like we're doing here. Alright, we have all our fillets done, glass tape is on, peel ply is on, and all our bulkheads are mounted, and it's 8 p.m. and we're tired and we're going to sleep.
Still not sure how my butt's gonna fit in here.
Yours is in the back with the pedal drives. Hold on, show us how long your leg is.
I was gonna say.
All right, so your back will be right here. Oh my goodness. And your butt is forward still. You are gonna have plenty of leg room in there.
Thinking about 5 days like this.
You're gonna be able to stick your legs all the way out nice and straight if you want to. And your pedal drive is gonna be right there somewhere. Might be forward more even. It might be against that bulkhead, I'm not sure. Alright, let's go sleep. Are you excited to sit in a canoe for the first time?
If I don't make it fall over and break in half.
So we're just mocking up the Mirage Drive and just making sure the seating position and the Mirage Drive position is all gonna work. Oh no, there we go.
Don't forget you got some bolt back there. Then let me put a foam on top of that.
Makeshift seat.
I like all the cushion. Okay, it's not gonna flip on me?
Nope. And if it breaks now, then you guys might as well just pack up.
Just call it quits.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Good fit.
Yes. I think so.
Come
You
on.
may want to make the
There you
seat
go.
longer in this direction so that people of different heights can sit either further back or further forward.
Yeah,
And
I think
and
like
the pedal. Yeah, they adjust forward and back.
So you can adjust it the full,
That's a lot.
you know.
There's a lot. That's a big adjustment. Yeah. So I mean that'd be too short probably. You can lean on.
Only the canoe.
No, nice.
You got it.
New version.
We continue to chip away at all the small components. Here I'm installing the mast step that I finished the other day and using fillets to make sure it's got a really nice strong bond into the hull. Here is the first of a few holes going in the bottom of the boat, which definitely made me cringe a little bit, but they're all absolutely necessary. The holes that Steve were drilling were actually for this piece, which is the daggerboard trunk. We're starting to make some big gains. Getting parts in the boat. We got all the bulkheads in the other day. I just got the mast step in today. All filleted and some glass strips on either side. And there's some little tabs in the front that tie into that bulkhead that are all epoxied in there. Steve fitted the daggerboard trunk right here. And it's not mounted yet. It's not in yet, but it's all fitted. And we drilled some holes in the boat, and that's part of the daggerboard trunk there. We'll have to cut a hole in the boat for the actual daggerboard, and we'll have to do a bunch of fillets and glasswork and stuff to get that in. This is the old version of the Mirage Drive well. That's been tweaked over and over a couple times to get it right, and Cody's gluing up the final version over here. So we'll have to coat that with epoxy and similar thing, like fit it in the boat and cut a hole in the bottom of the boat. And Sierra, what did you do today?
I skinsed the spars. Instant gratification job.
Your favorite. And the deck is just about ready to... We've been like mocking up cockpit cutouts and talking about hatch placement and stuff like that. So that's in the works. These things have been refaired, and John is gonna shape them tonight, probably, maybe tomorrow. And then hopefully we glass those, like probably not tomorrow, maybe the next day, but maybe tomorrow. What do you think? All right, our dagger board just came off the CNC machine. So there it is, 2 halves that will get glued together. It's not fully shaped yet. It's just got these lifts in it, these contour lines at different depths. So we'll kind of sand it down with using those contour lines as a guide, and just get it a nice fair foil shape. There she is. We just go ahead and fillet it while we're here. There it is. Alright, there's a big hole in the bottom of the boat. So that's the daggerboard trunk that we installed the other day. And they just cut a hole this morning. We're gonna glass around it, seal it all up. It was just about time to bond the deck to the hull, but first it had to be trimmed a little bit closer to the actual shape. Then it was all hands on deck, spreading thickened epoxy anywhere the deck was going to make contact with the boat. Then we lifted the deck, placed it right on the boat. Then we used a whole bunch of straps to clamp it down hard onto the boat. What are you doing? Look at these things, they look so funny.
It's like tie-dye.
These are the amas. John Harris himself has been kind of taking on shaping them because honestly it's like a little bit of an experiment with these things and shaping them in foam. A lot of it is by eye, and John has the most experience by far with that kind of stuff, and he's got a great eye for it and for keeping them fair and keeping them to the design shape. He's been shaping the foam, and then we've been loading it up with fairing compound and shaping that down because that's a little bit harder than the foam, a little bit easier to shape. He finally got a layer of glass on one side of each ama last night, so we're just pulling the peel ply off. But it's so funny. It looks like such funny colors because it's all different kinds of fairing compound. It's like camo amas.
Yeah, you know those like little cups, instead of like little cups of ice cream, they're little cups of like icy sherbet stuff that you can get at the grocery store.
Oh yeah.
This is like one of those flavors.
Yeah. After a solid day or two of the deck curing to the hull, it was time to take the straps off and finish that deck to hull joint. This is Andrew, by the way, one of Chesapeake Lightcraft's key employees, and he was huge in helping us get this project done, especially towards the end when it was really critical to get all these components together in a short amount of time. Right here, we're both just doing the final trimming of the deck, getting it to match the hull perfectly, and rounding the edges as well so that we could put a nice thick glass tape on the hull to deck joint. Here's yet another hole we were putting in the bottom of the boat, and it didn't really get any easier. This is me cutting out the hole for the Hobie Mirage Drive well. Joey, can you show us what you brought us today?
This?
Yeah.
Carbon fiber goodness.
Look at that, man.
Yeah, so this is carrying a load, 7 millimeters of carbon and fiberglass.
Wow.
And it will hold up your car probably. So if you want to go out and try it, we can do it. So.
Look at that thing, man.
But yeah, the idea is this is engineered to be one of the strongest pieces. So, because this failing would be catastrophic. So
Yeah, we
there's no room for failure here.
flip instantly.
Yeah.
All right, so that stuff's going together. That's the main middle section of the beams.
Yeah, so we're setting these up now because the filler piece has to be the exact position in it, and then all of the beams, because we have to drill pivot holes. They have to be equal so that we get everything, running in parallel.
So these eventually will go. I don't know if that's the right one,
Yeah.
but
It'll go in
Go
here,
there, so you guys can see the big picture,
right? So
and then one
it'll
on the other
pivot
side.
down
Nice.
to fold up.
So that's the modular function of this boat, part of
Exactly.
the modular function. And we'll have these little star knobs holding them into place when we want them to be in place.
Right,
Yes, in
right.
sailing mode.
Exactly.
So I'll give you guys a little update around the rest of the boat. Basically, yesterday we got this glass tape here around the deck. Steve has been working on this hatch and the hatch cover, which Sierra is finishing off right now. I've been working on the Hobie drive, Mirage drive well, and I got that all glued in and filleted. We'll still have to do some work cleaning up this inside edge and then glassing that inside edge, and some fillets under here as well. And we got the Sierra basically finished off the dagger board. We just got to get it varnished. Some little work here, cockpits, and this is what Joey and some of the other guys are really getting the cross beams or the Akkas going. So this is part of them. What else? What else? What else? We got the rudder cut out yesterday in the CNC machine, and we glued it together last night, and then Andrew shaped it this morning. So there's our rudder. And then our rudder components, like the head, everything is being glued up and starting to get that assembled. We'll probably get the rudder blade glass today. This is the hatch cover that Steve's been working on. Looks amazing. And Sierra's gonna just finishing it off, and then eventually that'll be varnished also. So that's just a piece of the deck that we cut out for one of the cockpits, so it'll match perfectly. And then John has been working on the Amas in the evenings, and they're almost ready to be full-on glassed, like carbon glassed. Spars are basically ready. We got the shiv ready to go in. It's all cut out and everything in the end. And then we'll still have to drill a few holes and get those finalized, but Sierra finished all the finish on them. It's our final few days here, so things are coming along. I think we're gonna have a bunch of finish work left to do in Florida, but that's all right as long as we get the majority of the stuff done here, which so close, so close. So all the big pieces are coming together now, and it's really cool to see. Like, look at the canoe. It looks. Oh, the deck was trimmed yesterday too, so now we have the actual shape of the canoe itself, which looks incredible.
You ready?
Yeah. Oh, nice. Sweet. So you just gotta smooth it,
Yep.
the edges a bit and stuff.
Yep. Let's clear up that.
Sierra is gluing together the rudder head right here. It's just pieces of the rudder system.
Show them my eyes.
It's
I have
from-
turned allergic to boat work. Literally.
No more boat work after this. Well, other than maybe some maintenance. I didn't think there was going to be anything scarier than cutting or drilling holes in the bottom of the boat, but this was definitely scarier. So if you remember when I pointed out the cardboard between the two bulkheads, well, here John is a few days earlier before we got the deck mounted to the boat, and he's drilling through that cardboard and through the hole, and these are just reference holes for Andrew to now go and cut the bow and stern sections off. So now we have a bulkhead attached to the bow section and the stern section, and then the opposing bulkhead on the hull on both sides. So everything's completely waterproof, especially after we put a layer of fiberglass over it. And this was part of the original design in order to make this boat as functional and modular as possible. It might be hard to transport and store a 20-foot long boat, but with these bow and stern sections off, the center part of the main hull is only 12 feet long, along with the amas. Is that permanent now, Tom?
Kind of big. As soon as I can thread a nut blind. I need a trained dog for this.
Do it.
Now we're finally getting the final layers of carbon and fiberglass on the amas and getting them ready to mount. We glued the akas directly onto the stringer, which is inside of each ama. And then we used some of this low density ferrin compound just to fill the gap between the aka and the foam core. From there we used some silica mixed in with epoxy to make a super strong fillet. And then we used a couple layers of carbon and then a little bit of fiberglass over that to make a really strong connection between the akas and the amas. Our time at Chesapeake Lightcraft in Annapolis, Maryland was up, and it was time for us to head back down south to Florida to finish off this boat.
Most of the weight on it. And I'm just gonna pick this up and pivot it over onto the roof. Push it towards you?
Yep.
Alright. Okay, I gotta let go.
What's that?
I had to let go, I can't reach.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good. I can adjust anything here. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Sorry.
That's the last time you ever offered.
Yeah.
No worries.
As soon as we got down to Florida, we immediately dove into what we do best: sanding and painting. We were so happy with how the paint job on Mountain Mist came out that we used the exact same paint. First we applied the 2-part epoxy primer by Alex Seal, and then we applied their 2-part polyurethane top coat. We even used the same exact color that we used on Mountain Mist, which is snow white. For the very last coat, Sierra's parents kindly let us paint in their garage to avoid as much dust and bugs in the paint as possible.
Sleeping like a child, you're so luminous and vibrant. I'm always in bloom for you. Always in bloom, always in bloom for you.
We just got the last coat on. Luckily, Sierra's parents let us move the canoe into the garage because it got pretty windy out and there's a ton of pollen and just dust in the air and little tree branches and leaves and stuff that were kind of getting into the last coat of paint. So we knocked all that down as best we could and cleaned it off really good, and we got the final coat on in the garage, and it's so much better in there. It's so much less particulates in the air. And it looks so freaking good. Are you happy with it?
Now time to clear coat.
Do you want to tell us about your...
They look so scary. Well, after this, I'm officially never doing boat work again because I have become allergic to it.
What is it actually?
I think I have gained a epoxy allergy, and we've worked with epoxy so much before, but I guess like if you like touch it without gloves or you touch your eye, like that could like kind of initiate it, and then once you get it, you always have it. So no matter what epoxy you're around, like it will just start, and then it's gonna be like this forever.
And it's really not that uncommon. Like people get epoxy allergies.
Yeah, and then like if it appears and then I'm around epoxy more, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So I was getting some comments on Instagram, it might be a good idea to get an EpiPen around just because we're around this stuff so much. There's nothing you can really do. But
well, hopefully not too much raw epoxy anymore, or epoxy dust even.
My dad keeps saying it looks like I got Botox in my lips.
I have the last coat of clear coat on the wood for the bright finishes of the canoe, curing right now. And while that's curing, we're gonna get going on setting up the rig. So I'm holding the mast right now. The rig we have on this boat is called the Oceanic Lateen rig, or a Lateen rig. It's just a mast here, a pretty short mast. It'll be stepped in the boat. And then we have this long upper piece called a yard. Pretty long piece there. And then this is the boom. And then just one triangular sail right in there. So we already have the sail. So I'm just gonna get it all laid out on the grass here and probably lace up the sail and then just kind of see what parts we need. We still need some like cleats and pulleys and running rigging and some line for the running rigging. Look at that. All right, there it is laid out. So we'll have to attach the tack there, the clue there. We'll lace up the foot, I guess. Lace it to the boom there. Then the clue, the tack will get attached through here. And then again, lacing up this kind of leading edge. Kind of a leading edge, like a very angled leading edge, up to the yard here. And then when it's on the boat, this mast will be stepped in the boat, like I said, and then it'll be hoisted up the top of the mast from, I think, right about here. So the whole rig will be hoisted right up onto that. All right, so we'll need some line, and then we're gonna need some cleats for the halyard. And we also have 2 reef points in the sail. So right now it's full sail, and then we could reef it to here. Or we can reef it to our second reef point right there. So this is our storage trailer. It's basically like everything we own. This and in Sierra's room at Sierra's parents' house. Just waiting for our new cat. Most of it is just like gear and supplies, even some new stuff to get on the cat. A lot of boat stuff. Here's a bunch of our sailing rigging. So this line, I think, here's some Dyneema, something Dyneema, probably overkill, but perfect lacing line. Here's our hardware crate. It's from like old boats in the past. Some blocks, a bunch of blocks. Probably use a few of these low friction rings, a bunch of thimbles and stuff in here. So I think this is the box I'm looking for. All right, got it all laced up. Not quite sure if I did it exactly right. I left plenty of room for adjustment on the lacing lines. I'm sure I'm gonna have to tweak a bunch of stuff, but that's what it'll look like on the boat. We'll see you guys next time for the maiden voyage, and when we start putting this boat to the test and doing some solid training for one of our biggest adventures yet. Just want to give another huge thanks to Chesapeake Lightcraft and their entire team. Also to Total Boat and especially Joey at Turning Point Boat Works. Check all of them out. Their links are all in the description, and we'll see you guys next time.